Nick D'Adamio back with you today. I hope you had a successful week. Have you ever told yourself, I just need to change my mindset? Maybe you've said, I need to be more positive. I need to push harder. I need to get motivated again. I need to stop overthinking and just do the work. And while all of that may sound right, I want to challenge you today. What if the issue is not that you need a mindset change? What if what you really need is mindset realignment? Because for experienced sales professionals, the problem usually is not that you forgot how to sell. The deeper issue is that something inside has gotten out of alignment. Your belief, your confidence, your standards, your purpose, even your identity. And when those things are misaligned, your sales activities start to feel heavier than it should. Mindset change usually focuses on trying to think better. You tell yourself to stay positive. You listen to something motivational. You try to get yourself fired up for the day. And there's nothing wrong with that. But mindset realignment goes deeper. Mindset realignment asks better questions. What am I really believing right now? What story am I carrying into my sales conversations? What results have I allowed to define me? What pressure is changing the way I show up? That is the real work. Because sales do not just test your skill. Sales tests your identity. A quiet pipeline can make you question your ability. A lost deal can make you question your value. A difficult month can make you question your future. A lack of momentum can make you forget who you are. That is why realignment matters. It helps you separate what happened from who you are. The first step in mindset realignment is honesty. It's not hype, not pressure, truth. You cannot realign what you refuse to name. A lot of sales professionals say, I just need more activity. But underneath that may be discouragement. They say, I need better leads. But underneath that may be frustration. They say, I need to get motivated again. But underneath that may be a loss of belief. They say, I just need to close something. But underneath that may be the pressure that is starting to change their tone, their follow-up, and their confidence. Naming that is not weakness, it's awareness. And awareness gives you power. Because once you name the misalignment, you can choose your response. You can return to the process. You can return to your standards. You can return to your purpose. You can return to the next right action. Before you ever get on a call with a prospect, you're already having a conversation. It's the conversation that's happening inside your own mind. And that conversation matters more than most sales professionals realize. If you're telling yourself, they probably will not respond, your outreach changes. If you're telling yourself, I'm bothering them, your tone will change. If you're telling yourself, I need this deal, your presence changes. And if you're telling yourself, I've lost my edge, your confidence will definitely change. That inner conversation eventually becomes your sales conversation. Prospects can feel your pressure. They can feel hesitation. They can feel uncertainty, but they can also feel clarity. They can feel your conviction. They can feel professionalism. They can feel when you believe in the value you're bringing. So before your next call, your next email, your next follow-up, or your next presentation, pause and ask yourself, what conversation am I having with myself right now? Then realign it. I'm not bothering people. I'm creating value. I'm not chasing approval. I'm helping solve problems. I'm not defined by one result. I'm committed to my process. And I'm not behind. Who am I becoming? I'm building with discipline. That is mindset realignment in action. Realignment is not just about what you think, it's about what you return to. And one of the most important things to return to is your standards. Because in sales, there'll be days when you do not feel confident. There'll be days when that pipeline looks thin. There'll be days when prospects go quiet. There'll be days when the deal you were counting on doesn't close. That is when your standards matter most. Your standards say, I still prepare. I still prospect. I still follow up. I still create value. I still review my numbers. I still control what I can control. I still show up like a professional. That's realignment. It's not waiting until you feel better to act better. It's acting from the identity you're committed to becoming. A misaligned sales professional lets results control their standards. An aligned professional lets his standards drive the results. That's a major difference. One of the most dangerous things that can happen in sales is not losing a deal. It's allowing that lost deal to become a belief. The deal falls apart and suddenly the story begins. Maybe I'm not as good as I thought I was. Maybe my message is not working. Maybe the market's too difficult. Maybe I'm behind. Maybe I've lost my edge. But here's what I want you to remember. A lost deal is information. A quiet week is information. A slow month is information. A missed goal is information. But none of those things are your identity. Misalignment turns results into identity. Realignment turns results into feedback. And feedback gives you something to work with. It may reveal that your process needs a little bit of attention. Your pipeline might need some work. Your activity needs attention. Your messaging needs attention. Your follow-up needs attention. But it does not mean you're finished. It means you need to realign. When sales professionals feel stuck, their first instinct is usually to do more, make more calls, send more emails, push harder. And sometimes more activity is needed, but activity without identity alignment can become frantic. You can do more and still feel disconnected. You can increase your outreach and still sound uncertain. You can fill your calendar and still lack conviction. That is why the real reset starts before the activity. It starts with your identity. Ask yourself, who am I choosing to be today? Am I showing up as someone desperate for a result or someone who creates value? Am I showing up as someone trying to prove myself or as someone committed to serving the right people? Am I reacting to pressure or am I returning to process? When identity is aligned, activity has a different energy. Prospecting becomes purposeful. Follow-ups becomes professional. Pipeline reviews becomes clarifying. Sales conversations become more grounded and momentum starts to return. So here's the question I want to leave you with today. What do you need to realign with this week? Your belief, your standards, your process, your purpose, or your identity? Because you may not need to become someone completely different. You may need simply to return to the strongest, clearest, most purposeful version of yourself. That is the deeper sales reset. That is the mindset realignment. And that is the work we help experienced sales professionals do at trust the process. And if this message connected with you and you feel like you've been trying to push harder, but something still feels off, reach out to me. Send me a message with the word realign, and let's have a conversation about where you're at, what has felt stuck, and what it would look like to build belief again, structure, and momentum in your sales life. Because your next level may not start with doing more, it may start with getting realigned. Thanks for tuning in. This is Nick D'Adamio.